Duke, now that you thought a little bit?
I think Sweater was top feeder.
Sweater. Mm-hmm. Well, what would you say made him superior to some of the others? What about him?
He loved chickens better than any living man on earth. We're talking, anytime you're talking, if you're talking chickens, Sweater will stay with you all night.
I'll agree to that.
But if you change that conversation 1 minute to talk about girls or baseball, football, Sweater's going out the door right then. He ain't going to go for that at all. But he will certainly stay till the sun comes up tomorrow. I've done it with him a lot of times.
I know you had a lot of feeders in your time, and you've been around a lot of feeders. Besides yourselves, who would you consider one of the top feeders in the country?
Well, I had a fellow who worked for me one time. He was in his 70s when he went to work for me, Jack Claffey. And he lived with me some. And I tell you, you know, he was, I went to Florida and all and found out when I was young that he was the man associated with that did all the work and fed those chickens and all that done so good in Florida. In fact, we went down there and I handled them and helped feed them. And we won 3 tournaments in a row, 14 out of 15 twice and 13 out of 15 once. And he was the best feeder I ever saw. And I made a little money and I took him home with me. I took him away from the people and took him home. Me and he lived in my home for 5 or 6 years. And the first, we was in the money with the roosters I had, and didn't have too many at that time. Bought 23 out of 26 times. The first he fed for me. And he'd get more feed through a rooster than any man I ever knew.
That's what I was going to ask you, not to try to tell me any of his secrets, or what, but what made him, let's say, a better feeder than the average man?
Well, he didn't always have the best roosters, but I'll say this: he had the always in shape and the strongest. They never was real sharp, but they could take the cutting, but he worked them hard.
Okay.
And he'd just fight you over one of his roosters.
Mm-hmm.
And to go to the tournaments, if he ever saw you fight, one of them fight, it would be the last one in the day. He stayed at the cockhouse night and day.
Or meet you at the back door. Most of the time, back door when I was with him.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I met him with Harold.
Mm-hmm.
And, he went to work with Subaru. Well, what combine was that when Bud Ramsey had it? I worked with him all 3 or 4 years down at Subaru Farm. Mm-hmm. And then I worked with him some after he went to Percy's.
Who would you say was the best feeder that you had ever known?
Well, I patterned my feeding after what I went through keeps with. I've been in the cockhouse with Curtis many times, who's a dedicated, hard-working, good rooster man for many years. I also went through a keep with Cecil Jones, and I went through a keep with Duke Hulsey, and with Sweater, and they were all great chicken men. But to me, Sweater was like my God. He was, to me, he just...
Well, not asking for any secrets, but what made him superior to the others, or what made him better?
Well, some people want winning chickens, and he wanted game chickens. That's all. I mean, he was like Red Richardson. Everything else was secondary to gameness. He wanted them game, and he liked hard-hitting chickens, and that's the only kind of chickens I like is hard-hitting game chickens. And he worked roosters hard and fed them good. And as I say, I was very successful incorporating basically the things I learned from him and some of the things I picked up from Duke, because Duke was he was top man for a long time, down in this country particularly. He won Sunset so many times that he was just #1 man here. Now nobody can win him forever, and whatever. But he was a tough man. Give him what the devil is due.